Carlo for that introduction. So to begin, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to GREBA, especially recognizing our chairman of the board, Mr. Jerry Navarrete, and our national president, Sir Noel Coticaño. So pleasant afternoon to everyone on behalf of Undersecretary Avelino III, and of course my colleague from the department or Region Aguinaldo. Maraming salamat po for this opportunity to present to you our endeavor. Yung nagkakaisa po nating endeavor towards finally establishing HUBC. So we prepared a short presentation to you on HUBC and updates on the matter. First, so next slide. As mentioned by Sir Tote earlier, of our ongoing endeavor, matagal na po, na gusto natin magkaroon ng solusyon sa ongoing concern on the long periods of time it takes for the processing and issuance of permits and licenses. And it appears, for the longest time, one of the solutions that we have been looking into are creation of one-stop centers. In fact, even the Public Act 7279, specifically Section 20B, it already provides for that. As a way to encourage private sectors to participate in socialized housing. And one of those incentives is to be provided to the private sector is the creation of a one-stop office or offices in different regions for purposes of processing, approval, issuance of clearances, permits, and licenses. In that particular law, it also provides supposedly 90 days from receipt of all documents. So, in many instances when I am discussing matters like this with GREBA, including Ma'am Tekshi here, they always share about how supportive GREBA was and continued to support this endeavor. In fact, I was so, but this was validated when this particular executive order, number 184 of 1994, specifically mentions GREBA. Because in support of and to implement Section 20B of 7279, the Office of the President then issued this executive order for the creation of socialized housing one-stop processing centers. The goal is, again, to facilitate the processing and issuance of permits, clearances, certifications, and licenses. Plus, there is a directive that all government agencies should be cooperative, specifically at that time, HUDC, HREDRB, DAR, DNR, DA, and DING. And it was really the insight I got from our colleagues from GREBA, how they physically been supporting this process. In fact, they rented a place, they provided laptops, all of what is necessary to support this project. In fact, that particular issuance was provided in the executive order that GREBA has the authority or mandate to assist at that time HUDC in the monitoring of operations and activities of the socialized housing one-stop processing centers or SHOPCs to conduct and to ensure compliance with this particular executive order. So with that, kita po natin since this period, GREBA has been pushing for this, and we appreciate that effort. Next, so these are our prior endeavors, but now, of course, we did not stop. I read a particular article from GREBA also on what was the challenge at that time, why it did not pursue. But we continue to proceed. We continue to endeavor to finally get that dream of establishing that house, because we know that is one of the best solutions for our concerns. So now, there are 3 issuances or laws that we are looking into as basis for the current endeavor of the department to push for the establishment of HUBCs today. So first, is the Executive Order Number 45, which provides for the time periods for issuance of housing-related certifications, clearances and permits, and imposition of sanctions for failure to observe that period. The purpose of the CO is to improve the processing time for housing-related certifications, clearances, or permits to ensure timely issuances and to reduce inefficiencies in the housing sector. Thereafter, also an important law is Republic Act 11032, or the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018. So, earlier, it was mentioned how ARCA is an important partner for this particular endeavor. This law aims to enhance the ease of doing business in the Philippines by streamlining and simplifying government processes. And lastly, the issued Act, Republic Act 11201, specifically provides Section 23 thereof that housing one-stop centers, processing centers should be established for the development of that system and procedure for the establishment of our HAPSIs in all of the regional offices in the Philippines. So, it is clear that there is a clear mandate now since 2019 under the law to establish HAPSIs, and it's 2025. Since then, there have been a lot of endeavors for us to make this a reality. Because our hope, next slide, is one that this HAPSIs will be established that finally will centralize all the processing and assurances of all the permits, licenses, clearances necessary for our housing developments. And in support, and with that, is the support of our key government agencies. Because as we know, given the previous endeavors, the support of our other agencies is imperative. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, there have been, since the enactment of Republic Act 11201 that provides for the establishment of HAPSIs, they should have made active activities, endeavors to make this a reality. In fact, there have been several meetings and discussions with other agencies to finally make that joint memorandum circular. In fact, our colleague here, Attorney Angel Aguila, is one of those who have been pushing for this. In fact, there have been already a draft JMC, this JMC. However, even if that particular JMC has been written, the necessary support we were not able to get. Why? Well, one of the identified concerns at that time is the lack of concrete study, lack of policy framework and planning, the lack of interagency support and coordination, and important as well is the lack of budgetary allocation. Next slide, please. But of course, hindi po tayo susuko. Nakalagay po sa batas na kailangan establish ito. And when I became part of the Housing and Real Estate Development Regulation Bureau, the regulatory bureau in the SHUD, that is the one who is pursuing this particular endeavor. Meron na po tayong i-propose na plan for this. A multi-year project that will initiate the creation and implementation of HAPSIs in all regions, in accordance to the law. The purpose of which includes the review of the department's operations to ensure efficiency and continuous improvement of internal processes. Number 2, to also coordinate and collaborate with national government agencies responsible in the issuance of housing-related permits, licenses, and clearances. As we all know, as mentioned previously, the support of our partners in the government is very critical for this endeavor to be successful. One of the goals also is for us to secure again mentioned the commitment of the government agencies and provide capacity development for all those officials and staff who will be part of our houses. And finally, hopefully, we can fully implement this program after all of this project is finished. So as mentioned earlier, those government agencies that we think are critical for the success are DNR, DAR, DA, DILG, LRA, and even CAP, among others. And we also envision the use of technology. Hopefully we have the digitalization, like a platform where we can apply, we can see updates on our application, probably issuance of these licenses and permits. So currently, we are in the initial stage of this project. We are currently trying to formulate a framework for the establishment of houses. And part of that is internal process and identifying the necessary steps to achieve that. Next slide, please. And part of that, and we want like to thank Reba for helping us with this endeavor, is looking into the current system as mentioned earlier. As discussed with our partners from Reba, one of those requirements is DPs, the development permits, CRs or certificate of registrations and licenses. We already provided to the Department Circular, the 24-005, the codification, the specific requirements that we have, that we are required for our DP, CR, and IS. And we identified, for example, for condominium, because this is within the jurisdiction of the department, there are 16 requirements when you look at that codification. And 8 of those requirements needs to be emanated or to be acquired from other agencies other than the SHU. Next. As we all know, subdivision, cemetery, and memorial projects, the DPs are within the jurisdiction of the LGUs where the project is located. Nevertheless, the codification that the department issued already provided as a guidance for what the necessary documents that our LGUs should be looking for. Yes. And to clarify, while the jurisdiction for issuance of development permit is with the LGUs pursuant to 2071 that default this power to our local government units, the Supreme Court decision provides that alteration of the DP is within the jurisdiction of the court. So, as mentioned earlier, is housing really the cure to address our housing needs for backlog? We surely believe that it is an important part of the solution. As we know, the Philippines is facing a significant housing crisis due to this substantial housing backlogs and the continuous increase of demand for affordable and resilient housing. And this concern or this problem emanates from these particular factors, including rapid urbanization, population growth, rise of informal sectors, as well as we always mention in our budget hearings with Congress, the insufficient government funding, especially in support of housing projects, that we continue every year to fight for. And there is also a recognition that housing is a very important aspect in our economy. The PDP 2020-2028 recognizing housing and urban development as a critical or crucial pillar for economic and social progress. So we know what is the problem and we know that we have to address this. So we have to make active steps. We would like to also show you how the department look into this problem of housing backlog in light of our ongoing push for HUBCs. Why are we pushing for this? And that's why we are very grateful for TEBA for also helping us pushing for this. So we will look into the housing backlogs. So based on the research conducted by the department through the 40H Project Management Office, you can see that region-wide, we have a total of about 6.9 million backlog units, housing units, as backlog. We projected this number as of in the year 2028. We would like to highlight that in terms of Region 4, the top three are Region 4A, NCR, and Region 3. And this data that we are looking into is very important for us so that we can target our programs, especially for 40H, and ensure that when we do these projects, we are able to address these housing problems. Next slide. Just another look into how the data has shown how Region 4A has 964,000, number one in terms of housing backlog, out of the 6.9 million boxes that we projected by 2020. Next. Just a more detailed description or observation of what we have on the housing backlog. So when you look at NCR, it's the second largest in terms of the number of backlogs. Number one is Quezon City. Kaya importante po si ating Jojo sa ating endeavor na to. We have about 213,000. So out of the 880,000 in NCR. So the next slide will just show you the details of this study in terms of the regional data. Next slide. So from CAR, Region 1, interesado po yung mga kasama natin sa private na we are looking into your specific jurisdictions. No? Hindi lang po Metro Manila. Titingnan din po namin sa datos namin sa pag-address ng housing needs po natin ang kakulangan sa bawat region ng ating Pilipinas. So we just show, hindi ko na pwede discuss isa-isa, pero ito po yung mga datos na nakabase sa pag-aaral ng ginagawa ng ating departamento, specifically our 40H project, 40H program. So yeah, we can just go ahead. So from CAR, Region 1, next. So we have Region 3. And as mentioned earlier, Region 4A po ang number 1. Next. 40 and Region 5. Next. In the Visayas, ang top 2 po natin ay Region 6 and Region 7. Both at 519,000. Next. Yeah, Region 8 and Region 9. Next. Sa Mindanao, ang number 1, number 2 actually ang Davao region. Region 11. We have Region 10. Next. Well, 13. Showing to you the results of our study. Actually, ongoing naman po ang ating evaluation dito. It's because we want to be updated. We already at 2025, the administration is at 2028. So we want to ensure that we are at the right track. And bar, ito po yung number 1 sa Mindanao area. This again, the focus is how to address the backlogs through our 40H program. So next slide. Yeah. Our 40H program. So this is the flagship program of not only the department, but flagship program of the government pursuant to Executive Order number 34 of 2023, where the President declared that the 40H program is the flagship program and that the GHSUD will be the lead implementing agency. Because the goal of the program is to address the country's housing needs. At that time, 6.5 million, pag 2028, mukhang 6.9 million. By constructing socialized house units whose target primarily are informal settler families and low-income families. Next. So just to share with you, kamusta na ba ang 4PH program? So good news, meron na pong mga na-take up. Since 2020, the last part of 2024, 2025, meron na din po. At this basically data that we want to share is just for GHSUD. Because meron pa po tayong partnership with TSAs natin, including SHFCs, NHA. So this data is not really the total data, the total production that we have, including those ongoing pre-production and proposal. Hindi pa po yung total talaga. But ito na yung ang primary issue. But those partner yung NHA and SHFC, may additional data. So far, we have about 526,146 units. But total na po yan of yung tapos na, yung ongoing at proposal. But now, just want to share how aggressive our department is to just ensure that we will continue to get more successful in this project, to achieve the goal of this project. Medyo aggressive po at palagi po tayo nag-meeting to ensure the Secretary is very hands-on, to ensure that all the concerns are resolved. At gusto ko po masabi na first hand ang GHSUD, dama po ninyo. Because since we are looking into not only making it the production faster, makikita rin po natin first hand ano yung mga nagiging roadblocks, including the delays in licenses and clearances from other agencies. So that's why, fun fact, itong HOPSI program po natin right now, project natin right now, naka-align po siya sa 4PH. Pero ang target hindi ng 4PH, of course, yung mismong buong industriya. Okay? But there is a stronger push right now to be more successful because we think that this HOPSI will also help ma-facilitate our production under the 4PH program. So, with this number, we would like to express how our commitment at the department that we are not only grateful, we are grateful with the support of HREDRB because sabi ko nga kay Ma'am Techi when we ever have a meeting, it is really, how grateful we are because the private sector is the one who's pushing for this since the beginning, since the 1990s. And hindi it unwavering support to it, and we think that's critical for the success of our current endeavor. Other than that, a lot of our activities right now, and also we thank REVA for the support of our ongoing evaluation of how the balanced housing development program is, especially on the computation of the incentive-based compliance. It's part of our endeavor to make things faster for especially our bureau, because our bureau is responsible for creating this policy and make positive and substantial progress, especially for HOPSIs. So lahat ng mga endeavor na to, na with the support of the Secretary, so Instruction Secretary yan, at Vice Adelino Tolentino, who is the Undersecretary for the Bureau, na we have to focus, the Bureau have to focus to make this positive development. More importantly, the establishment of HOPSIs. In fact, I excused myself this afternoon, because meron po kami ngayon, the department created a policy council, the GHSUD Policy and Program Council, nag-monitor at nag-empower for the creation of policies and regulations. This is it's our second part 2 of our endeavor. Kahapon, we had a presentation specifically for HOPSIs. So, nakalagay po dun sa evaluation na yun, ano yung problema, ano yung gagawin natin, ano yung timeline. So, with that, I just want to emphasize, now, the department is really dead serious and aggressive. And hopefully, finally, we can finally establish this HOPSIS with, of course, the support of the industry. So, with that, hopefully the presentation is able to provide you with a glimpse of what HOPSIS are and how important your contribution is and how the department is working hard to finally achieve this goal. So with that, next slide. Thank you. So thank you very much.